The provincial government is boosting this year's funding for a helpline during the pandemic through Family Caregivers BC. It's a non-profit that supports people, often family members, caring for the elderly.
And today we are announcing an additional $500,000 in funding for the Family Caregivers of BC. This funding will allow the Family Caregivers of BC to increase the capacity on their helpline and to expand their virtual toolkit to ensure family caregivers across BC can reach out and connect with each other and know that they are not alone.
And Legislative Bureau Chief Keith Baldry joins us now. Keith, no news conference with Dr. Henry today, but she mentioned something yesterday that may be giving a lot of hope to people as we look towards the new normal.
Yeah, everybody's always wondering, how are we going to come out of this? When are we going to get back to normal? We're not getting back to normal. One thing we are going to get back to is the resumption of elective surgeries in our hospitals. Of course, 19 hospitals have been turned into COVID-19 hospitals awaiting a potential surge. So the numbers, to bring you up to date, there's been almost 14,000 canceled or postponed surgeries now. That hasn't really grown in number. One thing that has grown in number is the number of surgeries that are actually being performed. Even though without electives, almost 12,000 surgeries have been conducted as of April 19th. About almost half of those are emergency cases, broken legs, car accidents and such. So that type of work continues to be done in the hospitals. But in terms of elective surgeries, the target is mid-May. That's sort of a moving target. But Dr. Bonnie Henry yesterday pointed out it's not that simple necessarily to suddenly open the hospitals to allow elective surgeries to occur, because there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of other things have to be done on a very careful basis. Here's Dr. Bonnie Henry.
We're looking at it in a whole system way. There are still, particularly the intensive care units in a number of hospitals have numbers of cases in them, but we're looking at transitions, because when you start elective surgeries, you have to use the post-anesthetic recovery rooms and the operating rooms, which were all part of our strategy for surge capacity should we need it in intensive care. So how to ramp those up in a way that is thoughtful and systematic is the work that others are doing, including Michael Marchbank, as you've heard about.
Keith, nothing simple about any of this. What are you going to be listening for tomorrow during Dr. Henry and Minister Keith's update?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We've gone 2 days without numbers now. Hopefully the number of cases is tracking where it was before that big spike last week, around mid-20s, high 20s. But one thing we're going to be looking at, the Mission Prison. There's been a big spike there, 40 in one day on Friday. Also, the Superior Poultry Farm in Coquitlam is another one we're looking at. Those are two clusters where there's been the most outbreak in recent days. So hopefully there's no more big numbers associated there. And of course, we're always keeping an eye on hospitalization numbers. We have been dropping steadily since a high of 149 a few weeks ago, now below 100. And ICU cases, critical care cases, have been dropping as well. So hopefully that trend continues tomorrow. In any event, the briefing, as usual, will be at 3 p.m. from the Legislative Press Theatre here. We'll be carrying it live on BC One, and I'll be on there, I think, with you tomorrow.
You will be with me tomorrow. All right. Thanks, Keith.